On today's episode, we are doing a teen bedroom makeover. We did our own little mini renovation inspired by Joanna Gaines' new show, and we're going to be adding some historic charm to this 1970s home to make it look a little bit older than it is. But we're also going to be adding in lots of modern decorations because this room is for our 15-year-old and she loves anime and video games, and we let her have so much say in what went into this little mini renovation. And it has it all today. We are going to literally renovate it from the ceiling down and give her all new furniture, and it's going to look absolutely stunning when we are done with it. We're even going to throw in some little DIYs for the decorations, keeping some of the things that she already had in the room before. So let's get started on this mini renovation. So this is what we are starting with. It wasn't terrible to begin with, but it just wasn't enough of her style. Plus, we had some outdated flat panel doors. We had some trim work that did not suit the style that we were going for in the home. We wanted something a little bit more grand, a little bit more historic looking. And of course, she wanted a different color on the walls. So this is a Sherwinn Williams color called Thistle, and we let her come to the store and pick out whatever color that she wanted, and she picked out a color that none of us expected. We always thought she was going to pick a blue color, like a deep blue or a kind of grayish slate blue, but she surprised us all with this beautiful mauve purple color. We had to prime all the walls before we painted because the house had already previously been painted in a pretty shiny paint. It was kind of like in between a satin and a semi-gloss in here. So painting over shiny finishes does not always work out so well. Always prime. And we also had to prime all of these windows and doors that were in the room as well, although we did not have to prime the new trim that we added into the room, which we will show you later. I also caulked all the edges of these windows to make them even more energy efficient. They are old single pane windows, but as long as there's not a breeze coming in, I'm okay with that. I love the historic charm of these beautiful windows. And of course, more and more priming. We even painted the ceiling in this mini renovation, and I highly recommend if you're going for a whole new updated look in a house, I would definitely recommend painting the ceilings as well, and paint the ceilings before you paint the walls with the color that you chose for the walls. It's just an easier order to do things in. Also, you want to make sure you have everything covered on the floor. If you have any other furniture left in the room, cover it up because painting the ceiling does make a lot of little speckles of paint come down. I ended up being covered in it, but it makes the room much fresher and it looks new and clean, and it also will hold in any of the previous owner's smells, like if you had a musty smell that they left over or just a smell that was not your smell left over. Painting the ceiling helps to eliminate odors. We also put in new doors. Like I mentioned earlier, all the doors in the upstairs of our house were flat panel doors that were just not special enough. Another thing we had to do when we replaced the doors was to scrape off all the old caulking where the trim used to be. We're going with a larger trim than what was here originally to look more substantial and historic, and so we had to make sure that the wall was nice and flat before nailing those on. For the baseboards, we went with a 5-inch tall baseboard. We wanted something large and substantial, but still budget friendly. It cost us about $200 to do the baseboards in this room, which is really not that bad considering how big of an impact a big, beautiful, historic looking solid wood baseboard is going to look. When we were planning out how we wanted to renovate our house, we wanted to make sure that all of the bones of our renovation matched throughout the entire house. So through the entire downstairs, except for one room that we still have left to do, we have done this exact baseboard down there. So now we are just doing one room at a time, renovating it to match the downstairs. The upstairs has 4 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms, and this is the second of the 4 bedrooms that we have been working on, although the other one that we worked on, we have not done the doors and the trim yet. So I guess technically this is kind of the first finished room that we have done upstairs. And as I am caulking all of the trim, I wanted to also talk about why we chose the trim that we chose. The style that we're going with this home renovation is to make it appear like it is a historic home. Our home was built in the 1970s, but it is a Louisiana kind of New Orleans style design that they built the home to look like. We have the double porches that go across the whole front of the house. It's a 2-story and it is a brick, and it looks very, very like you'd see a home in New Orleans. It's very styled after that. But on the inside of the home, it was all super 1970s originally. And then they had done a renovation sometime in the early 2000s with all that brown granite, and everything was just brown, brown, brown everywhere. So we decided to try and make a timeless design that would match the outside of the house to the inside. So we wanted it to look like historic New Orleans on the inside, because that is how the outside of the house looks, and that style is just absolutely stunning to me. I also painted all the doors in a bright white semi-gloss trim paint to make sure that it was going to be extra durable. I went with an enamel paint because enamel paint lasts much longer, although it does have a smell to it when you are painting, so beware of that. There are 4 doors and 1 big window in this room, so all of them had to be painted in this trim paint. To paint the edges in the room, I went with a nice big fluffy brush and just slowly and patiently edged it in without using paint tape. I have been doing this for many, many years and have found that this way is the best, fastest, and most effective way to get a nice crisp line. Although if you are not good at doing this, then I would recommend putting down tape first, then painting it the same color as the trim all along your paint tape, and then going over it with the wall color. This will help to prevent any bleeding onto your trim. Wow, I just love a beautiful, crisp paint line. I think that this semi-gloss trim looks beautiful and historic now. It looks old but new at the same time. For the windows, I had to scrape off all of the extra caulking and paint. There is something that is just so satisfying about vacuuming an empty room like this. The carpet was brand new when we moved in 3 years ago, and it is still in excellent, like new condition. We don't let our kids eat upstairs, like they can have their water to go to bed with, but we don't allow food upstairs because of the carpet. And I highly recommend implementing that rule if you have a 2-story home with carpet upstairs. Nino supervised and eventually kind of was bored of me vacuuming, it seems, but he followed me around the entire time that I vacuumed this room today. Poor Nino lost his companion, our beautiful dog Piper, last Christmas Eve, and he has been really lonely. We've actually been considering fostering or adopting another dog for him. We originally said no way, like after these dogs pass on, we were going to be done having dogs for a while because we like to travel and go on vacations a lot, like on long road trips. But he's just so lonely. I don't know what we're going to eventually do, but he has been following me around like my little shadow ever since Piper passed, and he seems very bored. We play with him as much as we can, but I really do think that he misses having a companion. Maybe we can just like babysit other people's dogs and let him play for a little while. If you didn't know, Nino is 16 years young. He acts like a puppy still and seems like he is just not aging. It is the craziest thing. You would think he would be tired and done with playing with other dogs at that age, but no, he plays all day long and is always begging for us to play things with him and jumping all around, pouncing like he is only a little puppy still. The furniture that we went with in this room is from Living Spaces, and I will try and have that linked down below for you guys in my Amazon store or in a link with from Living Spaces. We are not sponsored by anything in this video, just so you know. These are all things that we bought ourselves because that's what our daughter wanted to pick out. So this was my husband's desk while he was doing college, and my daughter really loved the style of it, so we went and bought the whole bedroom set pretty much. Well, not the whole set, but all of the pieces we bought were a part of this set. I also got this little basket from Home Goods for like 20 bucks, and then this headboard bed frame was off Amazon. I'll try and have that linked to my Amazon store for you as well. We've had this bed frame for 3 years since we moved in, and it's still like in brand new condition, so it's a pretty good one. You never know with these things when you buy them on Amazon if they're going to be great and last a long time or not. Also, my daughter hates having a top sheet, so she immediately said, "Can you take that off?" while we were making her bed. This is the bedspread that inspired her design for the room, with wanting the dark furniture and the purple walls. She loves playing video games, and she has had this bedspread for so long, and it's her favorite thing in her whole room. So we had to base her design off of that while still keeping the room looking like it belongs to the rest of the house. Also, of course, she's got to have her stuffies on her bed, little stuffed animals. The curtains that we picked out together were these dark black, like light illuminating blackout ones, and they are extra tall. They are the 8-foot high ones because we wanted the curtains to go all the way to the ceiling, again, to go with that historic look. We wanted some tall, beautiful drapes in the room while still keeping it modern and fitting that style to match her bedspread. So we went with black for the accents in the room. It kind of goes with that espresso furniture that we picked out and the bedspread. And we also picked out these wall sconces that are all black. They look really neat. I think it goes so well with the style that she was going for, which it also is like a modern version of a historic look where you'd have wall sconces. And these also are the type of sconces that you can adjust and move all around, which I love. I'm actually going to be buying some in a bronze or brass color actually for my own bedroom, which I'll be showing soon. I think they're actually going to be delivered today, but I think these look great. They're like a modern version of historic charm. We put a second lamp on the other side of her bed so that it is matching on both sides. Plus now this is also doubling as a desk lamp for her here on this side with the desk. But let's take a look back at what we started with in this room. We had this area where the TV was. She had all these collectibles and a shelf to put them on. But we are going to change this shelf up a little bit and reuse it in the room again. We're going to make it a little bit smaller. Before it went all the way across the entire wall, like even over her bathroom door and everything. And it was in this reddish brown color because it was the stain that I had at the time and I didn't have anything else. So now we're going to paint it black since we were doing all of the accents in black. I thought that it would look much better if we painted it just one solid black color. It would match better with all her furniture and accents in the room. And then we used the same exact brackets. Manny found all the studs on the wall and hung it again with these brackets. We had to move the brackets from where they were before into studs because we noticed that even with wall anchors before, it was starting to sag a little bit. So this time we made sure to put it only into studs. These brackets are 12-inch, I think, or maybe 10-inch. I think they're 12-inch. But either way, we got them from Hobby Lobby whenever they had their 50% off of the hardware sale, which happens very often. I would highly recommend getting these from Hobby Lobby. After screwing everything in, Manny went over all the screw heads with a black Sharpie just to cover up that silver color that the screws were. Next, it is time to add on the handles on all of the doors. So we had a handle already on the door that goes to the balcony, but the rest of these new doors needed new handles. The original ones were really cute, but just didn't match the rest of the house, and I want them all to be the same. So we matched the handles that were on the house originally downstairs. They're this really pretty, like, aged brass color, and I think that they look fine. I could have gone with something more modern or updated, but I just really liked how classic these looked. Also, they were the most affordable option at the hardware store, which we did not even plan. It just turned out that way. I'm so thankful to have Manny, who is capable of so much stuff. Everybody calls him Handy Manny on my Desert DIY channel if you haven't checked that out yet. But let's take one more look back at what we started with before we show the entire after of the room. And now for the reveal of the finished room. She's still going to add a few little touches here and there, maybe some wall art back into the room that she had before, but this is where we are now, completely finished with all of the real work. All the brand new doors, all the brand new trim, the wall paint, the ceiling paint. Ceiling fan has been cleaned and put back on after painting the ceiling, and then all of her brand new furniture. This is the first time ever we've ever had a matching set for a bedroom, ever. It's something that we feel so proud of to finally have achieved, and we're so happy that we could do it for our oldest daughter in her room makeover. We're going to have tons more bedroom makeovers and mini renovations just like this here on my channel. So if you are interested in seeing more of our home renovation that we're doing one room at a time, make sure that you hit subscribe down below so that you don't miss out. The next one that we're going to show you is our complete gut kitchen remodel. We even took out a wall and made our kitchen much bigger by eliminating a formal dining room. So stay tuned for that, and we'll see you next time. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked what you saw today, don't forget to hit subscribe so you can see more. Bye!